This is my hex beam. This is what I patterned the 10 meter hex beam off. I'm about to show you how to make. Right now, sitting out on my workbench, this is the first prototype I made of the 10 meter hex beam. First call I made with this was to Argentina, 5'9". The guy said it was booming in. I was only 20 feet up in the air. So it's fairly simple to construct. You have a hub. You have on the hub you have the tubes that hold the spreaders, and then you have your spreaders, and then you have a wire that goes around it. The first wire I used was 14 gauge copper. This is steel cable that's coated in PVC. It worked just as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into 3 sections. I'm going to show you how you make the hub. You can make it out of wood or you can make it out of aluminum. My first one I made out of wood, and I had to use all these clamps, and it added a lot to the weight. It weighs probably a half a pound more than the one that I made with aluminum. And then I'm going to teach you how to make this center hub that goes in the base plate and the coax that hooks up to it. And just basically it's just a coax with a PL259 on one end and then ring terminators on the other that will attach to here where this goes. So the aluminum one I made, the second one, I had just handy, I had some 1-inch steel light tube, and I went ahead and used diamond plate aluminum that I had and cut a hole in the center of it. And that was kind of heavy, so now I'm gonna make this one. I'm gonna show you how to make it out of. It's like very thin diamond plate. It's like 1/16, and I use that rim to sit it on. It makes it easy. It stabilizes it, so you can do your adjusting and whatnot. This is a really simple thing to make, and I patterned it off of my NA4RR hex beam. You can see that's what I have for the bottom, and it fits into that's a 1 1/4 pipe, so it just fits into a rotator that would take that same size pipe. Anyway, let's get started on this. Yeah, the first thing you need to build is the hub, and there's 2 ways you can do it. You can make it out of wood, or you can make it out of metal. And so, like I said, the aluminum's a little bit more difficult. You have to have a special saw to cut the aluminum, and the wood is just easier to work with. You can still put it together the same way that I did this one, with just I would recommend putting in like drywall screws. So I drill through here and just have 2 screws holding this, and then when I put in the spreader, I'm going to have a little set screw here for when I get to the desired length I need, which is about 62.5 inches, but it's varied from different ones I've made. So you don't have to have this in a hex shape, but it makes it a lot easier, because when you go to put your spreaders on, they do have to be at a hex. And so if you've already got this in this shape, you can just draw a line from point to point, and it's easy to do it. But you can make it round if you wanted to, or square, or whatever. But the easiest way to get a hex shape is, you remember back in grade school where we had to draw this out. So I take a ruler in the middle of a paper and draw a straight line, then measure down halfway to 6 inches, make a little dot. So then you take your compass. This is just a standard compass like we used in grade school, and put the point here, and then just draw a circle. And go all the way around. So once you've done that, you go down to where the circle intersects the line, make a mark there, go to the other side and make a mark there. You can see that, those two marks. Then you go to the top where the center intersects that circle there, make a mark there, go to the other side, make a mark there. So then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marks. So all you want to do is go in between these and join them together. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the better you get it, the better it's going to be in the long run. So go from there to the top, then there. And there. So you can see now you got your hex design all the way around. I guess I should put this one in too. So there it is. So then what I did was I took cardboard and I put this over it and punched a little hole with like a finishing nail right there, and then when I took it off I had the cardboard and I drew the lines on it. And use that for a pattern. And so then you can just take the, lay it on your metal and draw out what you need to cut out, or your wood, whatever you need to cut out. And now we'll move on to the table saw, and I'm going to do aluminum this time. So we'll go ahead and so before we get started, I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just showing you how I did it. So I'm not taking any responsibility for any accident you might have. But I do suggest that if you decide to try this, you use all safety precautions and all manufacturers' suggested safety procedures. I always use a full shield when I'm cutting anything. So this isn't any different. So what we do here is this piece of diamond steel aluminum. Like I said, it's only about a 1/16 of an inch thick. It's very rigid. So that's why I went ahead and decided I'm going to go ahead and try this lighter one. The other one I did before was a 1/4 inch. So I take this template and I put it in between the fence and the saw blade. And if you notice, every leg of this hex is going to be the same. So I'm going to use this same thing every time I cut it. So the first time I send this thing through, it'll cut this side and it'll cut this side. So then I'll have to come through and I'll have to mark this and I'll have to mark this and cut them freehand, and then I'll be able to put that side up against the fence and it will cut this side, put that side up against the fence and it will cut that side. So let's go ahead and get started. Ahead and get that piece out of the way, and then you can see how that's the same size. So what I have to do is, I'm going to bring that up to about right there. And I'll take my marker and I'll mark the lines that I need to freehand cut. That's perfect. So I'm going to have to move the fence out of the way, but I'll be able to reset it. So I'm going to freehand these. Now you can see that I've got most of the sides done, and I'll be able to put these up against the fence and cut the other sides. So you only have to make a couple of freehand cuts. So there you go. And then we'll do this side, and it'll cut that side. And that's how easy it is to make a hex. Let's get this last part. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark the black lines on it. I'm going to take it over to the drill press and I'm going to drill the 1 3/8 inch hole that will receive that hub. So let's go over to the drill press now. Now to cut the center hole, I'm using a carbide tipped hole saw. It's actually made to cut metal. And I'm on a low speed. I have to bring this up a hair. I've already made a center punch, and I scribed lines. Since this is metal, I scribed the lines with the metal scribe, and then I punched a hole in the middle. And then go ahead and to lower the speed for metal, of course. That's it. Nice 1 3/8 inch hole in the middle, and then it will accept that pretty much exactly how you need it. And tighten that up. So what you want to do here, or I'd suggest, you don't actually have to, but I scribe a line on the outside of this, so when I'm putting on my spreader pipe holders, that I stay about a 1/4 inch away from this. And so here's the one that's already done. You see how you want to stay away. You know, if you got too close to to the center, this wouldn't fit in there. And so making these, it's probably hard to find. If you can find metal, it's great, but if you can't, I use the PVC. Let me turn around here and show you this. For the spreaders, I use 1/2 inch Schedule 40. And then the pipe that I use that they go into is 3/4 inch, and it's the 200 psi, so it's the thin wall stuff. They used to call it Schedule 80. I don't know what they call it anymore. And it fits real nice where it just goes in and out. And I make about 8-inch sections of this, and then put 2 screws in the back, and then a set screw up front. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together, and then I'll show you how it looks after it's done, and then we'll move on to the next step of making the spreaders, which are, well, I might as well tell you right now, it's not that hard, so I can just go ahead and tell you. You just take this Schedule 40, the thick-walled 1/2 inch, and at the very end of this, so the wires can go through it, about 1/4 inch from the end, I drill a 3/8 inch hole, and that's where I can feed my element wire through. And that's it. That's basically all you have to do. They come in 10-foot sections, and I just cut them in half. You need 6, and so the next step that we'll do is I'll go ahead and show you how you make the wire element and the reflector, and then it's almost done. The wire element consists of 5 parts. You have, it's like a dipole with a reflector on the back of it. So how you do it is, this all is pretty simple. I just took 104 inches of, I used 14 gauge copper for this. Like I said, this is cable, but it worked just as well. And I'm not sure, 16th inch cable, something like that. So I crimped on the round connector, and I measured from the back here, you know, where the round part starts. I measured 104 inches, and then in between this is, I use Kevlar. You can use Paracord because Kevlar is kind of expensive. And then I pushed into the crimp, I pushed the wire till it went to the end, and then just, you know, held that, didn't matter where that was, and I crimped it. And then in between this is the insulator between the back wire. It's a foot long. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, it's foot, you know. And so I did the crimping the same way. I made the green come all the way to the end here, and then I pulled the black through, and then I crimped it. Then this goes on for 199 inches, 199.25 inches. That's the reflector. And so then when you get up to, caught on the tripod, you get up to the other 104 inch piece of wire that's on the other side, it's the same way. It's connected with a 1-foot insulator. So I did the same thing. This is the end of the 199.25. I pushed the green all the way to the edge here, and then I just pulled the cord through. 1 foot of insulating cord, Paracord or Kevlar. Same thing. I pushed the green wire to the end here. It probably doesn't matter. I'm just telling you what I did. And then this is 104 inches. This is basically the other side of the dipole. This is the front element that looks like an M. And then I did the same thing. I, you know, put a ring on it. And that's it, basically. Now I'll show you how you hook it all up together. All right, I finished the putting on the spreader holders, and I used the little 1/2 inch bolts and nuts to put them in. And the top here, once you get it in, it sometimes doesn't want to come out. I just drill holes in and use needle nose pliers to put these bolts through it, and then put lock nuts on them, and then I line it up with what's going to be where it's going. Okay, so this wire here will bolt on here, and it'll come out this runner, and this will bolt on here, and it'll come out this one. This is my number 6. This is my number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting on the spreaders, and like I said, they're just 5 foot, and I drill a hole in the end of them so I can run the wires through, and that's it really. There's not a lot to this. So I have these numbered, the poles I do, and on the other plate I have them numbered too, so I know that this is number 3. And so on. So then I'm going to fast forward this to where I'm actually stringing the wire through. It's getting a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and move it along. So assuming you've made the element, this is the wire for it. So I'm going to go ahead and uncoil this thing and start threading it through. It's kind of long. It's like 34-35 feet long total, but okay, let me go ahead and get this started. I'll show you how pretty easy this is. Starting at number 1, I hook on the terminal connector. And then just start feeding this through. There's the holes at the end down here. Feed that through. Now I've got this on a tripod now instead of that hub, so it's easier to wrangle this. And then same thing, just through the next one. Right on through the next one. Works real easy on this tripod, just to spin it around like that. I kind of discovered that by accident. And then I'm ready to wrap it up here. And so you don't really worry about how tight it is right now. You're going to move your spreaders in and out until you have that, not tight, but you want it taut. You want it where it's not sagging. And it's pretty easy. I make these spreaders come out from the hub here about 62 inches. So hook that on. And, this has to come through here. I know just from doing this before, I have about a little better than a hand width in here on each side. And you'll notice there's an open spot where it doesn't go across. That's the direction. That's where your gain is. And so make sure that all these are just straight. About a hand here for this one. And then I'm back to where I started. And then, like, see, there's no wire in here. That's because the that's the gain. So it actually goes like a big M or W. And then it's really a dipole. And then it's got a wire on the back of it. And so what I'll do after that is I'll come through here, and for each one of these, once I get it to where I want it, I put a line here or something, and I drill a little hole and I put a set screw in each one of them. That's it. Basically, you're done. So the last thing we have to do is we have to hook up the coax to it, and you're ready to put this thing up in the air. All right, now you have your coax, and you appeal 259 on one end, and then put the ring connectors on the other. And what I did was I drilled a little hole through here. It's about a 1/2 inch hole, and I can just push these things up right through it. It'd be easier if I wasn't filming. And so I put these things on so many times, one just broke. So I put it on here, and then put it on here. If there was a ring connector on it, it just came off. And then just tighten these up good and snug. It's like you would any other connection. And so after this, the last thing you really need to do is you go along and make sure that the wire is all, you know, good and snug on the outside, a little bit, you know, not tight but taut. And then after I get all the pulls where I want them, which looks good, and then I'll go ahead and drill little pilot holes in here and put little tiny set screws in, like wood screws or something, whatever, it'll work for you. And then you're all ready to go. You're ready to get that thing up in the air. On the bottom of it, like I said, I have a 1 1/4 inch pipe, and that's what, this is PVC, but that's what's on my hex beam. So that's what they call for, and then you can mount it however you need to. That's it.